Hey, good evening, everybody, and happy Sunday night, and welcome to Unlock the Middle's Navigating Leadership number 30. My name is Dean Packard, and I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts, and I have the distinct pleasure of an incredible panel of leaders with me tonight that really come from across the country, and they bring in unique perspectives from their own schools, and we're very excited to get going here. Hey, listen, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're streaming live. If you have some information you want to chime in and tell us who you are and where you're from, please put it into the comment section. We want to hear from you. That being said, let's hit the ground running. We've got two new guests tonight to the Principals Roundtable, Jennifer and Darren. Welcome to the table. Jennifer, I'm going to kick it over to you first. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from before we get going.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I am Jennifer Avila from El Paso, Texas. I proudly serve in the Socorro Independent School District, have been part of that district for 17 years. I'm starting my 23rd year in education. Currently, I do serve as principal at John Drugan School. We serve a little under 1,200 students in grades pre-K through 8th. And just a pleasure to be here tonight, not only to share, but also to learn from others. It's exciting to see what this new year will bring for all of us. After dealing with this pandemic, it certainly is a time for us to come together to learn from each other so that we can have an amazing school year. Everyone's ready to just get back to learning. So I'm excited to be here this evening. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And Jennifer, you're down in El Paso, Texas, southern Texas, down right along the Mexican border. So a really unique experience for you down there, I'm sure.
It certainly has, just in the different capacities that I've served in elementary, middle school, and high school, you see a lot. We're very close to the border, and we see a lot that children are exposed to, particularly our high school students and the involvement that they can be in if they're not involved in the school setting. And it's very important that, anyone who's listening to this, that reaching out to your students and really getting them involved with school activities is going to be the way, especially here in, like I said, in our border city. Mr. Tovar can speak to that. Involving students, very, very important for us to engage our students in all ways possible.
No, thanks, Jennifer. And welcome to the roundtable. We're really looking forward to your insights. Let's kick it down to Darren. Darren, welcome to the table tonight. Give us a little bit about yourself, the school you're at, and what describes your it factor for what you do.
Well, thank you once again, Dean, for having me on. And my name is Darren Hemphill, and I'm the proud principal of the Garland Alternative Education Center in Garland ISD. We like to call it Garland USA. And we're so excited to serve 72 campuses. We are a K through 12 alternative school discipline school. So we like to say that the punishment's already occurred. We just want to make sure that our kids are going to be all right academically as well as socially and emotionally as they transition back to their home campuses. And it's such an honor to be here this evening just to listen, to learn, and to be a part of the think tank here that, searching for answers and solutions from all over the country. So thank you so much for having me.
You got it. We call it Getting Better Together. Again, Spike, Josh, and AJ, great to see you as well. Quick shout out to you, Spike. What's going on in New Jersey?
Just trying to survive the heat. I was thinking when Jennifer was talking, I had this delusion of grandeur when I was in college. I was looking at grad programs, and I was on a road trip with my friend. I was like, we have to go to El Paso. I was looking at UTEP, and I remember getting out of the car in El Paso. Oof, it was so hot. I was like, I don't think I could last here, even though like Jersey, summers are so humid and really, really tough. But anyway, no, just great summer. I'm really excited about tonight because all the things that we're talking about are things that we've been working on in the beginning part of the summer. So I'm definitely looking forward to learning tonight.
Great to have you back, Spike. Let's kick it down to AJ.
I don't know what Spike's talking about with the heat. We keep getting all the rain up here in the north, so we got a lot of rain here in Jersey. But no, in all honesty, I'm really excited for this conversation. I like the topics. I like everything that we're talking about here. It's going to be great to hear a different perspective on this. So let's bring it on.
Let's do it. And last but not least, Dr. Tovar is in the house. Once again, a staple at Unlock the Middle. Josh, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fabulous because you know what? I've got faces that I know. I've worked with great PLNs here, other team members. But you know what? Most importantly, in 7 days, our kids come back. That's what I'm looking forward to. For us, it's 7 days. So not this Monday, but the following Monday. The Jaguars come back, and I'm ready for them. I've been ready for them all summer, and it's nothing better because you know what? That's what we're here for. We're
Well,
here
you know what, Josh?
for the country.
You always do that, man. You say that and you market it out as good as anybody else. Hey, for tonight's topic, guys, very simple. From our role in a leadership as a principal in our buildings, our job is to create a stable and sustainable foundation for our schools to continue to grow. And that foundation has to be foolproof. It's got to be something that can't crumble. So when we start thinking about things that are important to connect back to our strategic action plans for our district, our overall mission and vision statements, we start looking at, like, for example, students and PBIS and SEL as staples that need to really be looked at. Let's first start off by student engagement opportunities within your schools. Let's talk a little bit about how students can first of all, enter and access education so all students can be treated equally within your schools. Let's start off with our guest tonight, Jennifer.
Awesome. I think what's going to be very important is definitely rebuilding and connecting with our children. Since I do serve pre-K through 8th grade, we have children who never stepped foot on our building, transitioning from an elementary to a middle school because of the pandemic. So they have no idea where the halls are, where their classrooms are at. So even then, giving them an opportunity to get to know the building and making them feel safe and comfortable, and definitely giving them student voice by having different associations, different groups that they can belong to, extracurricular activities. This is really going to be an opportunity for not only my staff and I to treat them like we would want our very own children to be treated. Secret to John Drugan is that I had the opportunity to my own children. I have 3 grown children, college students that went through that school. And so it's very important to me. It's very dear to me. It's an opportunity for me to give back to that community, to all our stakeholders, and to definitely make sure that the students belong, our scholars belong in that building. I want them to walk into that building and see and feel that they are safe and feel that they are definitely a part of their, this is their community and they belong. This is their school. And so definitely building those relationships. I like to email my students. They get a weekly newsletter from me, and definitely just giving them that opportunity to what it's like to be in the building again after this pandemic.
Jennifer, dig a little deeper for me, if you will, before we kick it over to our other candidates here tonight. Let's talk about programs, how they actually access their educational needs, whether they're EL students or whether they're gen ed students, special ed students. Programmatically, what are you looking at in your school?
Well, we are fortunate that we are a one-to-one school. So every child in our campus does have a device. Obviously, they are able to access programs not only on campus, but at home. We do have programs that address reading skills, that address math skills, so that, academically they're there to support them. But most importantly, I think the direct teach that they're going to receive from students. I know our teachers are hungry for that. Give you a perfect example, our 8th graders took Algebra 1, since they are able to take that Algebra 1 course as 8th graders, they were learning remotely from home, and some of them had no success. They needed that one-to-one. They needed that calculator. They needed that direct teach. So when we brought them in for summer school, and we were able to bring students in face-to-face, what a difference. What a difference that made. So even the environment, so having access to their curriculum, hands-on learning is what made the difference for these children. So that I know that that's definitely something that we have at John Drugan, and of course within our district, but having access to those programs. But most importantly, the direct teach is what kids need now.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Darren, down to you.
Yes, and I would echo what Jennifer is saying in terms of direct teach. We're anticipating getting back to direct teaching. We're so excited about that, along with the lessons that we've learned as well through technology and the use of those devices that students come into the building with. I would just say, what's critical for us as we reset from our pandemic is onboarding, just bringing students into our campus and welcoming them into their campus. They're bringing new anxieties and different traumas that we have not even began to see. And so we're anticipating some of that through our training and revisiting, refocusing. Our focus this year is to re-engage students academically, socially, and emotionally, and also take care of our staff. Those are the 2 biggest things that are happening for us this year as we move forward. So to take a deeper dive, we're always looking at how we can match the curriculum. We have 72 possible schools that we could service depending on which students come through our doors, and we want to make sure that they will not lose a step while academically while they're with us during that period of time. So it's critical that we have the same access as all the other students that are in their classes. They're just going to be at a different location for a period of time, but we're going to get them back in better shape. And what's so important about teaching explicitly the SEL competencies is the fact that the more they're aware of the power and control that they have as individuals, we are going to be better off in terms of them being greater citizens and definitely better people. So that is going to be our focus this year, re-engaging our students, making sure that they are up to par with their peers in terms of academics, and then just making sure that onboarding is being done with fidelity as we move forward.
Thank you very much, Darren. Spike, kick it up to you. I mean, your students, how are you going to make sure that they can access their needed education?
Yeah, I mean, so similar to what everyone else is saying, I mean, coming off of this experience, we had home hybrid kids, we had kids that were all virtual, then we went, we had a couple different, ways that we looked at things this year, depending on, what our regulations are. So we are like systemically going through every single aspect of our school right now with our summer climate culture team, which we were very fortunate to get. I mean, everything, just like we were saying in the intro, mission, vision, values, goals, all those things are getting reestablished. We're looking to literally roll out the red carpet for our students coming back. Just looking at like a really big opening, a welcoming opening, but much different than we've ever done before. Very purposeful. We're looking at a program called Nurtured Hearts to help the staff to, energize the way they talk to students. As opposed to focusing on, I know we're going to get this a little bit later, but, focusing on the negative things that are going on. Similar to what Darren was saying too, really a focus on taking care of our staff. A lot of, we created a teacher reset room that's much different than a break room. There's no copiers in there or, things like that. We just want them to be able to chill out and enjoy the scenery. Everything, like we've examined every single bulletin board, where it is, what it says, what the glass case. I mean, it is just, it's been just an overview of everything. Like what are students seeing? What are they hearing? And I'll be honest with you, some of it's come from so I've got some great ideas coming from the group here. So that's why it's awesome to share, but it's better to learn.
Love it. Absolutely. Let's go down to AJ.
Yeah. For us, I think honestly, just getting the kids back in the building and getting them engaged in the classroom again, getting group work together. That's something that they did not happen at all last year. So getting the group work together, getting kids out of rows like we were told not to have for so many years, putting kids in rows this year was a disaster. Obviously, we're still going to use technology and still going to be looking at how we can increase technology integration into the classroom. But again, it's not going to be that main focus of just using Google Meet and having a kid virtual. I'm loving the fact that we're going to be 100% all in. Nobody came home. We're all in the classroom and we're going to teach the way we've been teaching forever. And I think now that we have this technology at our fingertips, our teachers are really going to start using this to build up their teaching and not just rely on technology. There's really going to be a nice way to integrate it. I think we have big dreams ahead of us, but at the end, there's still guidance that we're lacking, that we really need. What is lunch going to look like? What is the spacing that we have to have? Are we allowed to have round tables? Like these are silly things that we don't think about, but these are really important to what our classroom setup is going to be. We have furniture still in the gym. We have furniture in the auditorium just waiting. So I know we are trying to get that out as best we can, but without that guidance, I don't know what it is. But that's what's going to get our kids engaged, seeing a different kind of classroom and not just being there in a row, in a desk, 6 feet or 3 feet away from their classmates. That's really what's going to turn education around in our school.
Yeah. For the record, we're slowly moving the tables out of our gymnasium and cafeteria, getting prepared for that 2-week message right before school starts. Hey, everything's back to normal the way it's going to be. So you got to think and prepare. Kick it over to Josh. Josh, so the essentials for the kids, how are you going to make sure every child in your school is going to be able to access curriculum?
So our campus has pretty much 2 identities to itself. The very first one are brand new kids that arrived to this country. Our kids that come in from Vietnam, from the Middle East, from Africa, from Central America. That's one cohort of kids. And there we cover the initial sheltered instruction that's provided to them to make sure that we ease them into the traditional comprehensive campuses, whether it be middle school or high school. Within there, we have pockets of sub-ELAR, sub-teaching to make sure we support them and we pull them away during class time. It's built in within the master schedule. The other half of the campus is something that is an alternative campus, not alternative as in discipline, but as in the kids that have not been successful in a traditional campus, just like options there in with Socorro with you. It's a campus that kids that cannot do 8 hours, that are teen parents, that that are freshmen, 17-year-olds, they come to our campus because it's only 4 hours and they provide instruction. Overall, the methodology of delivering instruction is Sean Kane's Fundamental 5. So that's something that was not there before I got there, and I've implemented it because it was a successful tool at the previous campus. Because at the previous campus, it was a 6A school with 2,500 kids, and it went from a D- to a B- in 3 years. Because it's all about engagement. You know what is great engagement? Tier 1, bell-to-bell instruction. You know what stops discipline? Tier 1, bell-to-bell instruction. You know what helps motivate kids? Tier 1, bell-to-bell instruction. And Sean Kane's Fundamental 5 provides those strategies from the beginning to the end of the lesson to make sure that the kids are on task. And it's a proven fact, as it was brought up from, I brought it from another campus, because you know what? You can't argue with success. Success breeds success. And right now, I'm looking forward to making sure that we fully implement that. Our team members will be presenting again, because we've done 2 other presentations, again, within themselves, to recharge the game plan for this upcoming year.
UDL strategies also are important when you're looking at universal design of learning and universal design of leadership. When you start looking about creating of goals and SMART goals and going back and going into your stakeholders to figure out who they are, to get the active voices to be able to get where you need to be. I know in our school, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of gen ed programs that the kids all can access, but we also have our co-teaching platforms. We have our small group pullouts, and we have our intensive learning centers. So every child can access their learning at their level and at their point of entry, which is extremely important. But again, you can go back and talk about, one of the standard problems we all face across the nation is closing achievement gaps. And whether it's subgroups of special education students versus the aggregate of regular kids, and the only way you get those gaps to close is by having a clear-cut plan on how to have kids access instruction on an equity level. So those are real important things to think about when you're looking at your mission and your vision and your school improvement plan, and bringing in stakeholders to make sure everybody's on the same page and you're building an airtight, rock solid, sustainable foundation. Take it one step further. Let's talk about systemic discipline, PBIS, what that looks like in your school, and how PBIS can actually create a culture where everyone's on the same page. You get happy teachers, you get more student engagement, and you get better learning. What does PBIS look like in your school? Let's start off with Spike.
Okay, so we've had several iterations of PBIS. We call it actually PBSIS at the middle school level, and I believe I agree with Josh. I think it's a great format for looking at the tiered interventions for students, and strengthening that first tier. That tier 1 is ultimately one of the biggest goals. As you start climbing up the tiers, what I like about it is you really start looking at the data. You start looking at who's responding to the interventions, how, why, when, where, the whole thing. And we also use the Swiss program that goes along with that, so that all the information that's loaded into the computer. So our data system isn't quite as advanced as Swiss. So it really can give you the pinpoint areas on where the issues are, so that we can start remediating those issues. And then when you look at the tier 3, that's usually where we have a lot of area to grow in. providing those interventions for students who are struggling in that area. One thing that has come up a lot in the summer is our discussion on the reward system, the token economy. We're actually going to get a little bit away from that this year. We're looking more at a point system that's going to be tracked through Google Docs and related to periodic events throughout the year. So, because just what we found is, obviously, the research is there, the immediate gratification of, providing the token or the what we would call a ZAP or some sort of card or award. It becomes cumbersome to the teacher. So we're going to continue to use, the framework of it, the, spelling out what are the expectations in each of the areas, but just making some adaptations, as we go through this transitional time.
I love the fact that you're pulling everybody together, though, that common verbiage, common understanding. Again, when you use PBIS, it's more to go from punitive to positive within your school. If you listen, I've listened to some TED Talks, and they're talking about suspensions going crazy around the country. And, you break it down into subgroups, who's getting suspended and who's not. It's absolutely something that we have to change as leaders within our school. Suspensions have to be that restorative practice look now. What can we do differently than just send a child out of school? It's our responsibility to ensure they become educated. So it's very interesting to see exactly what's happening in different schools as we move towards this. Let's go up to Jennifer. In your school with PBIS, what does it look like?
So we're also in transition, like Spike had shared, but I think the biggest thing is teacher buy-in. We certainly don't want to put this something else on the teacher's plate, particularly this year. Interesting that Mr. Tovar mentioned Sean Kane. We had a full day of training with him, and coming back from this pandemic, we need to look at our schools that everyone's on a 504 plan. Everyone is going to need support from whether it's, the emotional background, academics, everyone is coming with some type of gap. And so when you talk to your teachers, when you talk to your leadership teams, it's really what is our goal in mind? We want our students to feel that success. Once they taste that success, and they're going to work towards that. So we're in transition in a sense where we're looking at, different, whether it's a point system, whether it's a reward system, but we certainly want our students to have access to that success and having that tier 1 teach so that we do have minimal discipline problems. During the pandemic, I did have a student on campus who unfortunately, broke the student code of conduct. And one of the consequences on my behalf was, all right, you're still going to go home. You have to suspend you, but you're going to log in and do your work. What do you mean? Yes, you're going to make sure that your overall grade is at 80 or above. And, the little girl kind of looked at me like, well, that's never been done before. I said, no, I want your grade to go up. And she was expecting a different type of consequence, which, she still had to be suspended. But the intention was that, yes, you made a bad choice. We're going to learn from it, but I'm still going to get you back on track with your grades. You can still do that. And so it's having that buy-in from staff and, making sure that students are aware of their decisions. But if we get them engaged from the very first time, bell to bell, there's going to be very little movement for any type of decision that the student needs to make. And if it is, it's going to be a positive. There's always, for children to understand there's consequences, whether positive or negative consequences. And we want to focus on that success, the positive consequences. When you study, when you turn in your assignment on time, you're going to get good grades. So really shifting over that positive vibe onto campus. And from the moment that they walk in, that it's not only just the administrators, but it's also the teachers, it's also the stakeholders in the community. So transitioning and making sure that every classroom is set up, that the teachers have that buy-in, and most importantly, that the students feel that success in their classroom.
That's great stuff. Darren, down to you.
Yes, and so it all begins with tier 1 instruction as we introduce our kids to our building, and we want to make sure that the structures are in place. Kids like structure, the adults like structure, and so we have to be very explicit how we teach those structures and processes to our kids. And so re-engaging them in that process, reminding the adults about where they need to be, how they need to engage students. It's all about customer service in our building as well, how we introduce ourselves to our kids, how we greet our parents that come to the door to drop them off, that is such a critical piece on how we are going to have the next 30 to 45 days with this student. And it's about building relationships with them as well within the structures of in the confines of the school. The challenge this year is going to be, like I said, re-engaging them back into the school setting, back into those structures in which they've been away from for 18 months. And so we are just preparing our staff as well as our parents already to go into the new year with a brand new mindset and a change of course in terms of how we're going to engage our students. Now, one of the things that we do is that we do restorative circles, community circles. We do that as a part of every student, as a part of what we do at the GAEC. And so that is so critical that they have a voice in what is happening throughout their day and what is happening outside of school as well. So we're excited about bringing that on board. This is our fourth year of doing that. And so we're just going to continue to improve upon that as well. I can give you the stats here. Last year, even in the wake of COVID, we still had placements at the alternative school. 0 physical altercations, 0 suspension rates. And that's all because we're putting structures in place for kids, and we're building relationships with students all the time. So we're excited about that, and we're looking to proof it even more as we go into the new school year.
You're thinking outside the box, Darren, and doing things innovatively. Great stuff for that. AJ, kick it over to you.
Yeah, there's someone shared here that it's really outstanding stuff. But I think in our school, I'm looking forward to kind of revamping our PBIS. The restorative focus is good, but I like the community aspect of this. I like that it's really going to rebuild a culture and a climate of our school and really keep it positive. I like that everybody's going to be on the same page, that the classroom rules are not just don't do this, it's do this in order to. That's really something I'm looking forward to. So I really think that this focus of this positive is really going to be helping our students, getting teachers on board, getting them more excited about building relationships with our students to kind of see what they're doing. I'm not looking at the behavioral end of it, which I know is important. I know it's going to bring about that restorative practice, but I really like that it's positive, that it's going to, pat a kid on the back for the great things they're doing, and a teacher doing the same thing for a student doing the same thing for the teacher. I think it's really important that we have that positive aspect, that everybody's on the same page, they understand the expectations school-wide, and that they really are excited about coming to school and really looking for, a good place to be and some positive feelings of I can do this and somebody's going to help me get there.
I'm glad that you said that. This multi-tiered system of supports, that's so important when you're understanding the tiers and when to integrate the tiered interventions on how to help kids access everything they need to. Creating the school that every child wants to go to is the other thing that we are responsible to do within the foundation that we build. So Josh, let me kick that down to you right now through PBIS and discipline within your schools. What does it look like?
Look, when we're talking about the topics, and I'm going to be honest. I'm always honest. Let me tell you. When I don't know something, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. Even though I'm an old man in this sport, I don't know. Because the campuses I've been at, we never had PBIS. I heard about it, but never had it implemented at any of the schools. In my former high school, there were 3 middle schools. Only one had implemented it out of the 2 out of the 3. So they would talk about it. I'm like, oh, okay. None the wiser. So then when we brought up this topic, hey, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't fake the funk, like Principal Cafela says. I called Darren, what is that? hey, that's what this is all about. It's calling each other and getting that support. And you know what? He explained it to me, and then we had lunch earlier this week, and we talked about the circles and everything, and I love those ideas. But you know what? I read before we got on here. I'm going to let you know. It's not like Todd Whitaker says, it's not about programs. It's about people.
Yeah. So
I don't care what program it is. And are you ready? Here it goes. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if those kids feel the second that they walk into your home, our campus, that they're cared about and that we're going that extra mile for them, you know what? They're going to misbehave. We know that. We know that for a fact. They're kids. And I tell them, you're supposed to. It's our job to guide you. That's our job. And we address it in a professional, loving way as they were our own children. And so I think that we've created that at all the schools that I've been at, especially at the one I'm at. Last year, we only had like 100 You know, it wasn't big. We only had like 110 kids consistently throughout the whole year. We had 0 referrals.
That's fantastic.
0 referrals. Because you know what? I was on them both ways. Not I. We were on them both ways. Loving and, you know what? Come here. Let's talk. That you're preventing yourself. You're creating obstacles. And you see that on my posts on social media. Don't create obstacles for your future. Don't do something that will prevent you from learning. So it's the ongoing thing, because we're not in the science business. We're not in the math business. We're not in the social study business. We're in the kid business. And we need to make sure that they feel comfortable when they're in our home.
You know, our handbook gives us a latitude to do, but our brain and our thinking and our leadership quality of empowerment and helping people get to the next level changes the outcomes. Because you know what, at the end of the day, kids want to be loved. I agree with you 100%. And if we can show that, the numbers of disciplinary actions will go down. There's no doubt about it. But we're also responsible for teaching our teachers management tools with common vernacular. So when a child goes from one class to another class, they're not getting the ability to play mom against dad or brother against, you know what I'm saying? So again, when you sit down, you start talking with your staff about common language, man, just shore that up and make sure everybody's on the same page, because the kids will very quickly understand that they can't get away with it over here because we're doing the same thing over there, if that makes sense to you guys. Hey, the last part of this discussion, we're looking at culturally responsible rooms, social emotional learning, what that means, what we're responsible for as leaders, because I think when you're creating that final foundation that's going to hold everything we do, this has got to be embedded in what this bottom foundation is all about. So let's talk about SEL competencies, what it's like in your school coming up for this year. And let's start off with AJ this time.
Yeah, so SEL in our school is extremely important. That's something we're trying to look at implementing into our daily lessons. I feel like in our school, our teachers have been trained in SEL very well. We've had, a past that SEL was quite necessary. And we've had our school counselors, trained in SEL, which then trained our teachers so that our students understand exactly, how they should be feeling, how they should be expressing themselves, how they should be looking for others. So SEL in our school is extremely important. We are very proud of the things that we're doing. And as SEL is becoming more and more important, and as our state is trying to find ways to put it into the curriculums, I feel like our teachers are finding ways to really bring it in without either the students knowing. We don't have to take a time out to do breathing exercises. They're already integrated into lesson plans. They're already integrated into, taking a break during the warm up, getting involved in instruction before an assessment. Our teachers are really having a strong understanding of what they're doing that can calm a student down. They really have strong ties to Care Plus, which we use quite regularly to help our students. So I feel like our teachers really should be highlighted and really acknowledged for what they've been doing with SEL. And I really can't wait to see what they do this year in a full class setting. As we spoke about before, it's only my second year and it's gonna be my first year in a full school year, that I'm really excited to see what they do and how important it is for our students.
Thanks, AJ. Jennifer.
Also with SEL, our school counselors and our community and schools folks are prime leaders for SEL. They've also created some lessons based on what we see the needs are at our school. We did pre and post surveys to get feedback from students to be able to voice their concerns. And so we're going to be focusing a lot this year. We've kind of assigned our counselors in a different format this year where they'll be serving a particular grade level and be able to focus in that. I think what's going to be key is the communication. As one of you mentioned earlier, if students know that you care about them, they're going to open up to you. They're going to share, what's making them feel great, what's not making them feel great. We also have a space in our school that I want to dedicate to, whether it's a teacher timeout room or a student just needs to just get, a fresh breath air. I had students that were hospitalized this past school year because of depression, because of what they were faced with at home. Children who lost family members, parents due to COVID. And also, just learning from home on their own, having to, feed themselves and, making sure they showed up to class on time, and they're not used to that. So that transition from learning from home coming onto campus is going to be key. And those are the things that we know about. So it's giving the students an opportunity to feel comfortable enough to come to a teacher to say, I need help. and giving that venue, that opportunity for students to hear their own teacher. Hey, it's okay. The first weeks of school, that's all we're going to be doing is building relationships with our kids again. They need to know that it's okay to be sad. They need to know that it's okay to share their emotions. And so, Character Strong is one that I favor, and we're hoping to be able to bring it school-wide, but we do have time allotted in our master's schedule devoted just to SEL school-wide, so that teachers know it is very important on our campus, moreover this school year. Our parents know that they can count on us. Many times parents don't know what to do and how to help their child, and so they seek to us. They look at us as the professionals to be able to guide them. And so we have to be ready. We have to continue improving our craft so that we can serve our children and our community at all times, having small groups and just being able to serve our children.
And there's an aspect of training the parents and caregivers too, what SEL looks like, and helping their children make quality decisions and helping them learn to self-regulate and understand empathy and what that looks like, and intertwining it with thematic units throughout the school year and having assemblies and things of that nature, because we can't get away from ever teaching our content. That's embedded in everything that we do. However, we can have a clear-cut expectation with guidelines driving what our thoughts are that everybody needs to follow. So you're spot on with that stuff. That's really good stuff. Let's go over to Darren.
Yeah, so our focus, once again, is going to be about building relationships with kids and as they come in. And so we have a dedicated period of time during our day via the master schedule to be able to let everyone in the building in our community know how important it is. And so we're not doing extra assignments during this time. We're not doing any of those things. We're focused in on the relationship building and the community building that needs to take place. We know that whatever happens out in the real world, we do know that within those walls that we have an opportunity to build a great community, and one that looks like what you would like to live in. And so, if you want to live in a community where there's not chaos, then we have to build things, processes, and communicate with one another and to be great citizens. We utilize what we call our big three. That is safety, respect, and good citizenship. And those are our guiding principles each and every day on how we treat each other. What you say and do matters, socially, emotionally, physically. We want to be able to create a safe environment, and that brings on respect at all times, and then good citizenship. How do you want your neighbor to treat you, or how would you treat your neighbor? And so we got to be good stewards of our resources each and every day. And so just don't, take a roll of toilet paper and waste it. You're going to have to be able to think about the person next to you or the next person coming behind you. And so clean up after yourself. Those type of things are just soft skills that are being built each and every day that really build great hearts and minds, changes hearts and minds about whatever trauma or effects that could be happening out there in the real world. So we take that on very seriously each and every day. Once again, we're looking forward to the impact that we're going to have on kids that come to our doors.
Well, and it all starts with a friendly smile and a hello in the morning when you get off the bus. So from there, it only goes up. So Spike, kick it over to you.
Yeah, so this will be my, 11th year starting out, as a principal, and I'm trying to look at it as if it's my first, just trying to have that, what I call like the white belt mentality, because I think if anything, the pandemic taught us that, we don't know everything, and right. And that's one of the blessings that came out of that unfortunate experience. I agree with Josh said earlier, and I'm very much a big believer in Todd Whitaker, a big Todd Whitaker fan. So it is people above programs. I think what the programs do is they give us structure, right? So one of the things that we don't want to have is a grandiose opening, an amazing September, a decent October, and then it goes off the rails, and then just we're scratching our heads, by next April. And we've had those years before, and those are difficult. So the programs that we are looking to provide that structure, to provide that ongoing support for students and teachers, I think are going to be really important. Earlier, I mentioned Nurtured Hearts. It's not a very, super structured program, but it's really more about getting into those these SEL competencies that we were talking about earlier. In fact, in New Jersey, that program is used in all like the residential facilities and things like that for kids who are really struggling. And it's all about how we talk with them. That's what we focus on. And so it's like you said, Dean, you know, once they get off the bus, you know, have they already had 5, 6, 7 negative interactions with their parents, with other kids? So how can we start energizing them? And what are some things that we can have? You know, our security guards, our counselors, teachers, what can they say? The other thing is that we do have an advisory period. We've tried several different iterations of advisory over the last few years. In my opinion, none very successful. We tried interventions. We've tried giving them space. We've tried, all different types of things. And we're going to look at a second step program that will give us some different things that we can do. It's going to kind of supplement what's going on with Nurtured Heart. So that's all going to be, about 25 minutes a day. Where the teachers and the students will be able to work together and begin to build those relationships, and then have everybody, start working on, how do we create a safe community? Because we could use a year where our test scores go up and our discipline goes down. We are very fortunate too. We're going to be adding 7 new positions. A few years ago, our school went through a huge budget cut, and class sizes go up. It does have. I know that there's the research. We'll go back and forth on that and save that for another time. But there's a lot to be said about having a smaller class size. So just the injection of. I'm saying, I think I looked at the list the other day of non-tenured people in our building. It's like 36, and we have a staff of almost 120. That's a good percentage of new teachers, and some right out of college, some second career, or even some alternate route. So also working with them along the year and making sure that they're feeling that they're supported. So there's some different things that our administrators are going to do along that. But, once again, I mean, everybody just lays this out in just like sort of a different type of way. But the beauty is that we all have our heart in the same place, which is to welcome back our students and our parents, to shine bright for our community, and to support our teachers who have done an amazing job over this last year and a half.
I absolutely agree with you. And again, we talk about the champions that are out there. The teachers have done that, and they have created what I consider the best sustainable product they could as a result of COVID. There's no doubt. Josh, down to you. SEL competencies. We know that you get a big blanket wrapped around this. Finish us off with this, and we'll tie it all up together.
4 weeks ago, we started talking about what we were going to do for the summer. And I during that podcast, I said, I'm preparing for next year. I'm making sure that right now, I know there's a tsunami and the water's receding right now, but we're going to get all and then some when they come in face to face. So every weekend, I've been sending out, literally writing kids cards left and right, letting them know. And you know what? The tsunami is coming back in a positive way, because the kids are reaching out to me on social media, or they're calling me on the phone. Oh, I got your letter. What does this mean? Can you help me out? There we go. That's the purpose. You know what? It takes time to make sure that those kids know there is no border for us in regards to, oh, this is our summer break, because we know that that's going to be coming back to us. So it's about being proactive, not reactive when the kids come back. So I got another batch of cards going out this weekend, coming up. I already sent one out for our team members, because they are also need to be ready for it. It's not only the kids, but the adults. Because adults have not had them face-to-face for a year and a half. They forgot about the discipline. They forgot about he hit me with a backpack in transition. Oh, he took my charger. Oh, the dog ate my homework. Whatever it might be. There's a level of frustration that they forgot about. Okay. So it's about that we work with our team members and letting them know, hey, when they come back, we need to be above the fray. We need to be the cool ones and de-escalate it. Because that's when Darren is going to get a lot of customers at DAAP, when they become not prepared. So it's all about preparing for them. So it's about making sure that right now, we still have a couple of weeks. Some of you have more than that. Is that we're proactive with our students. We're proactive with our learning communities, with our parents, letting them know that we use the most effective tool in our weapon, in our arsenal right now during summer, is social media. Make sure that you communicate with your parents, because you know what? If you're not on social media, you still rent your movies from Blockbuster. So make sure that you communicate with your parents, letting them know what the expectations are. Make little videos. Show them where they're going to come in. Show them the cafeteria where they're going to sit down. Let them know what's available, since they right now can't be at your campus. So making sure that they know you're there for them. They know that you're going to support their child, and that way they'll feel comfortable. Because if the kid is happy at the school and the kid doesn't talk trash when they go to school, everyone's going to be happy. And how do we do that? By making sure we accentuate the positive nonstop 24/7. And that's why right now it's about continuing and communicating with our kids, our students, because you know what? We love them. We care about them. And it's a fact. That's why we're in the business. That's why we're in this business, to make sure we present and prepare our kids the future of America.
Boom, bang, bang. Thank you, Josh, very much. I knew you'd end on a strong note like that, and there's no doubt about it. Principal Caffelli chimed in, said the same thing. The only thing that I would just reiterate is the fact that our learning community permeates beyond the doors of our school. It's a complete community thing. So the more that we can tell our story, tell our why, show the kids why we care about them and what we do each and every day, and be very clear with our expectations, the better off we're all going to be. I challenge everybody out there when they start and begin to write their SMART goals this year, that they really connect them back to the foundational elements that make their schools that school. When you're talking about equity for all students accessing curriculum, you're talking about PBIS and discipline systems that are school-wide. You're talking about SEL competencies and ensuring that kids will be able to be self-regulated and have people to come to for relationships. Man, you're talking about winning schools, because learning will take care of itself after that. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I hope you all agree with me, guys, on the panel here tonight. That's what we do, and that's why we're talking about it tonight. Anybody want to say something last minute? Jennifer, Darren?
Yeah, I just definitely want to give a shout out to the teachers. You know, they are really the heroes that have allowed us to be successful in communicating from hybrid learning. You know, I had to sub a couple of times and it wasn't easy. So teachers out there, my school and everyone else's school, you are our heroes. We thank you, and we look forward to having you back on campus. I know that we support you. You're going to support our children. So I look forward to working with all of you, learning from all of you. Thank you for all that you do.
Good stuff right there. Anybody else, Darren, last minute? In the red zone here.
I'd just like to say thanks so much for the opportunity, Dean, and for this panel to just speak on some hot topics here as we begin the school year. I want to also recognize all the teachers out there that are putting it on the line each and every day to make sure that our students have the best education possible. And hopefully we will make them great citizens as we move forward with our thinking, and then continue to work on the work. It's not hard. I mean, it is hard, but it's well worth the fight. So continue to fight, and we're ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
The work is never done. You guys are ready to roll. Spike?
I can't believe that next Sunday when we do this is going to be like, I can't even imagine what Josh is going to be like, because it's going to be the night before. Like, is he actually even going to be able to join us? I feel like maybe
that night,
either that or he might be at his school. Like, because I mean, not to say we have plenty of time, but like we don't start until September, right? So like we are in like total summer mode, and he's like next week. So I just can't wait till next week.
AJ?
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's here, sharing your ideas, giving me some ideas, writing down these notes, and the people out there watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank you to the teachers out there. This is fantastic. This makes my Sunday night. So looking forward to the next one.
And Josh?
Just real quick to everybody. Hey, out there on the other side of the podcast, share your thoughts with us, please. Like and share it. If you're on Facebook and your principals group, please share those thoughts and those comments that you might have, because you know what? This is the only way. I have grown so much the last couple of months being part of this group. I've met so many outstanding leaders. They've made me a better person. So if we've helped you out, or you can help us out, please follow us on social media, and also like and share this post, because you know what? We're only stronger together.
Bang, better together. Hey, that's about all the time we have for tonight. I want to thank Jennifer, Darren, AJ, Josh, and Spike for once again coming together for a great night of leadership roundtable discussion. For all you out there, remember, stay well, keep those kids at the forefront of everything that you do, and remember, you can make a difference for anyone who walks through your door. Wish you guys all a great week. You guys are outstanding. Panel, stay on. We're going to sign off at this point in time. Have a wonderful week. Stay strong.